There hasn't been a new asset class since the bond market in 1693. Well, now there's a new one, and it's the digital asset space. The question is, are you participating? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is a digital asset space. Good evening. Good evening to you. So shout out to, I came across this article today on Twitter. I just wrapped up a lot of business stuff. Had the Wealth Wednesday at 7 p.m. tonight. That went really, really well. Make sure you guys checked it out tonight. Check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. 8 hacks to get rid of debt fast. Definitely want to check that out. But I finally had a chance to get on Twitter tonight and came across this from Cryptopolis. Cryptopolis shared this on Twitter. Shout out to Cryptopolis. We love when we can hang out with Cryptopolis on Fridays, right, on BK show. So about this, and I wanted to go over this article because I got to tell you, this is, by the way, Cryptopolis is always continuing to add value to the community, right? Absolutely love that. So here's the thing. So I'm checking, I went and checked this article out from the IMF. Very, very interesting read. This is on the blog, IMF's blog. So this is blogs.imf.org. Very interesting read, guys. Let's read together. So this is your XRP Ripple daily news in 0 to 10 minutes. The short-term liquidity line, a new IMF tool to help in the crisis. Well, isn't that interesting? You know, we've talked about the IMF and how they're wanting to get more and more involved, certainly wanting to use their SDRs more, right? We've covered article after article about that. Interesting thing here. So, challenging times for emerging markets. This is by Jeffrey Akamoto, by the way. So, the beer cold pandemic has severely disrupted the global economy at every level. Across the world, financial conditions have tightened dramatically, with unprecedented portfolio outflows from emerging markets in terms of both size and speed. So size, a record of about 100 billion, and speed, and markets effectively frozen in some cases. This has created sizable demand for US dollar liquidity. We just covered this a couple of streams ago, right? Didn't we? Because we were talking about how digital assets might actually help the dollar, right? Might actually help the dollar. And guys, listen, the global economic crisis has zero patience and waits on no one. And the crisis is illiquidity. All right, so this has created sizable demand for US dollar liquidity, with emerging markets facing sharp liquidity shortages. The emerging markets, well, that might be an interesting place to sort of proof of concept, if you will, with an ESDR, I'm wondering, I'm just thinking out loud. So a short-term liquidity problem can quickly become a deeper and longer lasting solvency problem. Emerging markets. Wouldn't that be a very, very nice, I don't know, maybe safe, I don't know, maybe not so much in the news area to do a little POC with an ESDR. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Several institutions have responded to this challenge. Major central banks extended bilateral swap lines to each other and to more countries than during the global financial crisis. And the New York Federal Reserve's repo program provides, provides dollar liquidity to several more countries. However, the Fed and other central banks cannot provide swaps for all countries, and many emerging market members of the IMF are still experiencing liquidity shortages or will face the risk of occasional sudden stops for some time to come, and well after the swap lines are terminated. Well after the swap lines are terminated. So this exposes a critical gap in the global financial safety net, but one we moved quickly to fill, says the people from the IMF. So a new IMF liquidity backstop. We cannot predict when such liquidity sources shortages will happen, but we do know that when the global capital pipelines freeze up, a short-term liquidity problem can quickly slide into a deeper and longer-lasting solvency problem. A liquidity line that is available on demand can be a lifeline in such cases. The IMF responded to this need by establishing a new facility last week called the Short-Term Liquidity Line, SLL, Sierra Lima Lima. The first addition to the IMF's financing toolkit, the first edition in almost 10 years. As part of its broader crisis response strategy, this new facility provides a reliable and renewable credit line without ex-post conditionality to members with very strong fundamentals and policy frameworks. The same qualification criteria as another IMF facility called the Flexible Credit Line. The SLL short-term liquidity line is designed to address a special balance of payments needs, potential, moderate, and short-term, reflected in capital account pressures following external shocks. A country that signs up for an SLL, short-term liquidity line, will be signaling the IMF's endorsement of their very strong policy frameworks and institutions to markets. That in turn can lower their borrowing costs and provide a welcome support during volatile times. The SLL can also help reduce future financing needs by helping countries arrest moderate-sized liquidity problems before they can evolve into bigger problems. We estimate the current total design for the short-term liquidity line from several countries could be up to $50 billion, which is a far more modest portion of the IMF's $1 trillion firepower than would be required otherwise if the same group of countries had to come for IMF-supported programs. That's a very interesting note. So when many countries have pressing financing needs, addressing the problem early can limit future needs and adverse spillovers to other countries. Guys, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna read the rest of this, but I gotta read this again. This is pretty significant. A new liquidity backstop. A liquidity line that is available on demand can be a lifeline in such cases. A liquidity line that is available on demand. Yeah. So I know there's this company in San Francisco, I believe. It's Ripple. Yeah, that same Ripple, the one that's suing YouTube. Yep, that same company. Yeah, they have this thing. It's product, one in their product line. Yeah, it's called on demand liquidity. Yeah. Like I don't know. I mean, I know. Wait a minute. There was a fintech company that's in its digital asset space that was hanging out with Madame Lagarde in the IMF. Who was who was that company? Hold on a second. Yeah, that's right. It was Ripple. Yeah, Ripple. That the same company that's suing YouTube. Yep, that same company. They were hanging out with the people from the IMF and Madame Lagarde. Yeah, huh. I'm wondering if the people from the IMF know about Ripple's on-demand liquidity tool. Hmm, interesting. So, innovative design and low costs. The SLL has innovative features, in particular, revolving access, allowing repeated drawdown and repayment during its 12-month duration. The facility does not operate like a traditional loan, but can be likened in some respects to a credit card, where money can be drawn and replenished up to a limit. The short-term liquidity line is also renewable in the sense that successor arrangements are possible for as long as a member continues to qualify and to have the special balance of payment need. All these features could be invaluable for members as they seek to overcome the crisis and navigate the highly uncertain recovery period ahead. The short-term liquidity line has a unique fee structure to support its revolving nature. Example, 8 basis points set up, that is 800,000 for a 1 billion credit line. To put that in context, if a qualifying member has 20 billion in public debt and is able to lower borrowing costs by just 1 basis point by getting the short-term liquidity line, their savings would be $2 million. And that's $2 million that could be better deployed in the present crisis toward critical healthcare and social safety nets instead of debt servicing. Listen, guys, I know I'm joking around. I know it's a lot of speculation going on here, but liquidity on demand, interesting. Enhanced international cooperation. The establishment of the short-term liquidity line demonstrates the IMF's commitment to supporting its members that do not always have access to other liquidity lines. Complementing the IMF's reforms to enhance its emergency financing toolkit and provide debt relief for the poorest members. In many ways, the short-term liquidity line is also a clear demonstration of the willingness of the IMF's membership to put differences aside and come together during this time of crisis. The real code. While the short-term liquidity line has been years in the making, the IMF's executive board was able to unite around a proposal and approve the facility in a matter of days. Well, how about that? It is this sort of decisive action that is needed to address the needs of countries large and small as they fight the economic fallout from the beer cold pandemic. Well, guys, I gotta tell you, that is a very interesting read. I don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows what this is really all about? But I gotta tell you, when you hear that phrase, liquidity line on demand, I don't know. Who knows, right? Who knows? Those of us in the DNI, the digital nomad investor, who hang out and watch his videos, we've talked plenty of times about that ESDR. We've talked plenty of times about the IMF wanting to step up and use their SDRs more. What better way to use their SDRs Then during this beer cold pandemic, it said the emerging markets. I think that's important to note. I think it's very, very important to note that they're talking about focusing primarily on the and on the emerging markets, because I believe that's a place where they could start with an ESCR and check it out and see how it goes and see if it makes a difference. But I'm just thinking out loud. But I do find it very, very interesting. Again, shout out to Cryptopolis for sharing this on Twitter. I think this is some very, very interesting stuff. I'm sure this will be covered a ton in the next few hours or day or so. Very, very interesting read, without question. Cryptopolis, thank you so much for taking the time to share this on Twitter, my friend. So this is some interesting guts, guys. Listen, I am going to wrap. Let me read this title again. The Short-Term Liquidity Line, a new IMF tool to help in a crisis. I'm going to wrap up this video, guys, like I do all of my videos, and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, but we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know. That the battle for you has already been fought. And the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.